Hey you peeps, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and this is the introductory video to my 2015 edition of my top 100 games. I have excised the of all time part of that because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. These are my top 100 games as of right now, this year, 2015. Expect that to change next year. This is just the games that I enjoy the most or would want to play the most right now at this very period in time. Now, this video is eminently skippable. If you don't want to watch me ramble for a little bit about my reasons for doing this video or the series of videos and sort of the logistics behind it, how I came to the decisions that I made, all these different things, you can immediately skip this video and go straight to the 100 to 91, which is the first video that will be going up, of course, and that'll be going up along with this introductory video. So you don't have to watch this, but maybe it'll be interesting to you. And also at the end of this, I am going to have my numbers 101 to 110, which might be of interest to some people. Just really quick run through those and see what just missed the cut. So how's that for tickling your ass with a feather, so to speak? All right, so I wrote myself some little notes. I've got some little notey things here. I hardly ever do that. But so first off, why do this list? Well, first off, it's fun for me. It really is. I mentioned to someone on Facebook the other day that I always want to put out content that I would actually want to watch. And I think that I do that for the most part. Sometimes I do, like, when I make my overviews very long during my videos, I'm like, I would never watch this, but I still think it's a useful thing to have for people to have. But for the most part, when I do my top 10 list, when I just pick the games that I want to review, I'm like, if it were me, would I want to watch this? And I, as far as the top 100s go, I love them. I devour them. Whenever I see anyone do that, I mean, even just top 10 lists in general, for any YouTube channel, gaming related or not, I get drawn into watching top 10s. It's I think it's almost a natural human inclination at this point, and that's why top 10 videos are so popular across the board for everyone on YouTube. So that's number one reason that I wanted to do it, is because I think other people would like it, because I know that I would like it. I have a lot of fun doing it myself. This was very time-consuming this year, though, so much more than last year. So perhaps it wasn't quite as much fun because I had a much bigger pool of games to pick from because I've played a lot more new games in the past year, and a lot of those games were very, very good. I think this was a very good year for gaming. And I've also caught up on a lot of games from past years that I never got around to. So I had a much bigger pool to draw from, and that made actually picking the games much more difficult. If you want to know how I pick the games, basically I go through my collection, and my collection is where I start off, and I think almost every game that was a potential for the list came from my collection, because if I really like a game, I'm going to keep it. I'm not at the point yet where I start chucking games that I really love. I have been getting rid of games that I can't really keep because they're just good but not great, but great games stay in my collection. So I had more than enough possible candidates to choose from. I think over 200 at this point, not even, not counting expansions or anything like that, of games I've played in my collection. I have many, many more than that in my collection. I just haven't played, but so it was difficult for me to put the list together, but another reason why I wanted to do the list is because it's helpful for me to keep straight, like, what really are the games that I think are the best, and I personally think are the best in my collection, and what would I never want to get rid of if it worse comes to worse. And I do have to start chucking some of these games because I literally just don't have the room. So that's a useful thing. And also I think that, let me say this, what the list is not is a set in stone, if you don't like these games, there's something wrong with you, go out and get them right now. That's ridiculous. Every single game that anyone recommends might potentially only be good for that person. No matter how many years of reviewing they have under their belt, no matter how experienced they are, no matter how many total games they've played, everyone has blind spots, everyone has their own personal tastes and preferences, and there are absolutely games on my top 100 list that are going to be like, I love this game. Most of you will not, because it's just something about it. I like the theme much more than many other people will, or it may not be that fantastic a game, but something about it just draws me to it. So what I think the best way to use this list is, for you all out there, is a list of references, of possible recommendations. To say, ideally what I would want people to say is to look at the list and either, A, figure out, oh, wow, I've never even heard of that game before. I'd like to know more about it. And maybe you don't like it, maybe you do, but at least you know about it. Another way is, oh, I know about this game. I was kind of on the fence about it. Nick really likes it. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And the other way, on the other extreme, is I disagree with almost everything that Nick says, and I hate most of the games that he likes. Let me look at this list to see what I will never, ever play or try. There are probably not going to be too many of you that use the list in that way, but it is a perfectly valid way to use the list. In other words, I want people to get the most out of this, and however you choose to do that, however you choose to look at it, whatever prism you're looking at it through, have at it. This is strictly for fun, but if it can be informational and, infotainmentational for you, because I love making up words, then I think that you will probably get the most out of it. So that is all of my motivation and what I hope people will use it for. Now, a few things. First and foremost, as with last year, I am going to be doing my second opinions from the Board Game Geek user comments, which I was shocked at how much people enjoyed those last year. I honestly just did it because I'm like, everybody's doing the top 100. I got to differentiate myself somehow. And that was my way to do it, and people loved it. I got so many positive comments about that. There were a few people grumbling, saying, oh, it's not right for you to use these people's comments, and maybe they don't want to be used in that way. Or, are you just making fun of these people? Are you mocking them? And no, I'm really not. It's for fun. I mean, I think it's funny. I always, the comments that I pick, I try to go for ones that are funny, unless there's just no funny comments available. Then I'll go for something short and poignant and to the point and very forceful. So it is for entertainment, but it's also like, hey, look, just like I was saying before, this is not a sacrosanct list. This is my personal thoughts and opinions, and everyone's personal thoughts and opinions on entertainment things that we consume just for pop culture reasons. Those things should be lambasted. They should be taken to task if it feels like it's getting too silly. So it's kind of like there's no sacred cows. Any game here that I think is awesome and I love it, there's going to be someone who hates it and totally wants to make fun of it. And I think those people should have a voice on a list like this. So it's for fun, but also, know that there are other people, and sometimes people who I deeply respect. Some of the people I remember from last year, who I used their comments, I'm like, oh, that person? I like that person. I thought we had a lot in common. I can't believe they don't like this game. Including some prominent reviewers who happen to leave comment reviews. So, I think that it can be a lot of fun, and I don't mean it to be harmful at all. If you think that it is, and maybe there will be more people who don't like it this year because we've doubled our audience. Yay, how about that? Since the last time we did the top 100. Doubled subscribers, at least. But I think overall, even people who saw their comments, and there was at least one person who did message me and say, hey, you used my comment, that was great. I think people are okay with it. But we'll see what happens, A couple other things to, warn you about, and I swear we get to my 110 to 101. I am very much a member of the Cult of the New. I never try to shy away from that, and it's because, for a few reasons. Number one, I am relatively new to board gaming. I think that I've been into this hardcore, the modern board gaming community for about 3 years, doing things other than just Magic the Gathering, I should say. And so most of what I've experienced has been stuff that's new and just coming out because that's what's put in front of my face most. That's what I read about the most. I never lived through, the last 20, 30 years of, Euro games developing slowly. It just never happened for me. So you're going to see a lot of new games on my list, the same as last year. And also a lot of it is just because I personally feel that board gaming, perhaps more than any other hobby, well, maybe music is this way too, but it builds off of itself. You progress. I mean, people borrow mechanics. They're inspired by other people's mechanisms, other designers that they make, and they build off of that and say, how can I improve this, make this better, spiral it out into a bigger, better thing with more theme. The same way that Dominion led to Legendary, led to, deck building just being a part of games like Mage Knight and City of Iron. That kind of progression. And so I think, and this isn't like a tried and true thing, but I really believe that games are just getting better all the time. And a lot of times when people say, oh, you got to try this classic game, I'm like, well, that looks really similar to XYZ game that I've played and enjoy. Why would I go backwards? And that's kind of the mentality I have, and I realize that puts me firmly in the Cult of the New, but I think it's for practical reasons as well. So just something to keep in mind as we go through the list. Now, because of the fact that I have so many new games coming in, and because I am a reviewer and I have tons of games, both new and old, that are just constantly, flowing about, and there has been so many good games that I've played, you're going to notice that the list is very swingy. There are a lot of huge drops of games, including games dropped right off the list. There are some big leaps forward on the list for some games, and this is just because I mean, this is how I am with all my hobbies. My tastes change all the time, and they fluctuate. And I feel like if you're in my top 300 games, that's doing very, very well. But things are going to bounce around within that list. It's all about what am I personally feeling at the moment. My top 100 is locked in right now, but if I did it again in a month, or if I did it 2 months ago, it would be completely different, potentially. Some things would be within the same realm, but certain games would just be like all over the place. It's just, what am I thinking about right now? What am I most into? What mechanisms am I most into? So just keep that in mind. You're going to see some very startling jumps, like right away when I go in through my 110 to 101, but that's just the way that I am. And that's that. That's probably way too much information as it is. Hopefully, if you only wanted to see these 10, then you just skipped ahead. But I think that that's a good primer for what you can expect. And more than anything, this is only for people who really want to know all the esoteric details of my list. Have fun. I really love doing these lists. I try to make it fun. I try to make it good entertainment, and it's getting the whole channel hopefully is getting better year by year, even if just incrementally. So thank you so much for watching, and let's go through my number 110 through 101 very quickly. Number 110 is Rune Age, which is new to the list this year. I was surprised. I thought I would have had it on last year, but that's a good solid deck builder. Other deck builders are better than it, I think, and that's the only reason it's out of the list. Number 109 is Lords of Waterdeep, which, here we go, it's down 73 spots from number 36 last year. That is purely because I've played better worker placement games. It hasn't been hitting the table. Before last year's list, this was like one of the gateway games that got me into the hobby, and we played it to death. I think it's just been kind of sitting on the shelf for a while, a bit too long. But it's still a solid game, especially with the expansion. And that's probably why it was so high on the list last year. Number 108 was Space Hulk 4th Edition, which is also down 70 spots from number 38. That's because I think I got Space Hulk 4th Edition very close to my list last year, and I played it a lot within that small period of time, and I was obsessed with it for a little bit. And then because it's a two-player game and because the person I was playing with moved away, it's fallen by the wayside. Still a great game. Number 107 is Among the Stars. That is possibly the biggest drop of games still within the 1 to 110. 90 spots from number 17. I don't know what happened there. I think that Among the Stars is a great game, but I think I've played a lot of other lighter drafting games that have sort of stolen its thunder. Number 106 is Claustrophobia, which is down 13 spots from number 93. That's not a huge drop. And again, that's just because two-player games are hard to get to the table, but I do have 2 expansions for it. Hopefully I'll play it more this year. Number 105 is Trieste, which is down 51 spots from number 54. That's a solid card game. I will say that over time I've found more and more imbalances in the gameplay, but it's a very interesting 3-player only game. Check it out. Number 104 is Consume Goddess, which is down only 15 spots from number 89. That's also just because of lack of play, but even though it's kind of a weird deck builder, I still enjoy it quite a bit. There's some things that game does that I haven't seen in any other deck builder. Number 103 is Evo, which is down on the list. I'm sorry, I forgot to mark that. But good, solid game. I think Small World kind of replaces that game, but I love the visuals on Evo, and it's one of the few auction games that I like. Number 102 and number 101 are new to the list. Number 102 is Viceroy, which is a great game that I screwed up my first review of. And when I played it the right way, I really, really enjoyed that game. And I would kind of expect that to move up on the list next year with more plays. And number 101 is Broom Service, a very, very fun game, surprisingly fun. Tight, kind of stressful game, but I really enjoyed it, and I like the theme and all the bits and the artwork as well. So that is that. Now you are primed and ready to go for my top 100 top 100 2015 edition. If I say it the other way, it sounds like it's my top 100 games of 2015, but that's not quite right. So let's jump right into it. You can watch my 100 to 91 as this video goes up at the same time, and I'll publish 2 or 3 of them per week until we are finished. And then at the end of the list, we're going to do an outro video where I will have my closing thoughts and I will go over some stats and some cool things about the list, like publishers and types of games, stuff like that. Thank you so much. Take care.